mi na na mi now we na now now we
Uh, uh, hello everyone. It is I, Deoxoyomi, and it's all so good to see you. Hello Blightshade, and hello Baku, and hello Chiz. I hope you're all doing well today. Sorry sorry it took me so long to finally get on. I had to take care of something really fast. Ugh. My god. Okay. So, I hope you all have been having a lot of fun today because well, I guess a little bit about my day before I kind of like go really deeply into, before we just kind of like just start going into everything is, so, as you could probably be aware, that work for me continues to be a bit of a stressor. And today I kind of didn't really feel all that great, so I didn't really do as much work as I really should, but whatever. I got to speak to my supervisor, who is, you know, she's retiring. She's retiring very soon. And so there's a lot of talk going on about who's going to be taking over. And she was actually kind of talking to me about it. And she's like, oh, actually I've overheard two people talking about how they're really basically like kind of indicating that where it's just like indicating that I should be in that position. And I couldn't, like, it was kind of funny for me to press on her. It's like you're retiring. It's like, what are they going, it's like, what can they possibly do to you at this point? So, and she actually told me, because she's like, you know what, you're right, I am retiring. What do I care about this anymore? And she was actually letting me know that it was actually that it's like her supervisor and like one of the ADs that I think might also be in the hiring committee. Definitely her supervisor, and then I guess that would be closely to like his supervisor then. We're basically talking about how like why, like, I think they were even just like, why aren't we just giving him the position, essentially, which made me feel really good about myself and maybe a little bit less worried about some of the things I definitely have heard from another person that I was just like, it's like, yeah, why don't you just tell me that you don't want me here? Like, that's how it felt. But I'm hoping that it does lead to just the simplicity of, I get this position, I don't have to worry about it. I do know that for a while I'm probably gonna like, I'm probably gonna talk about this a lot for like the next several weeks, I swear, and I hate it. But I know, this is important to me, and it's definitely something that I feel very strongly about, you know? So it's gonna come up quite a lot in these, like, it's just gonna come up a lot for me to mention this and be like, oh god, I hate work. It's not that I hate work, I hate the politics behind work sometimes. And to be honest, I honestly feel like that there's like one person that's been meddling far too much in hiring decisions. And I'm really curious about some of it, but in any case, this is gonna be a long chapter, I just know it. So I want to get basically right into it. We can talk more about stuff as it comes up or whatever. But I do have, okay, so I don't have any cookies. I actually do have a cup of soup that I don't even have like I actually bought soup from a local place. So I'm just going to be eating soup. I do have other things I can kind of eat as well, but I don't have, it's like, I unfortunately just don't have cookies today. I need to go shopping. And I plan on doing that this weekend, which is going to be a lot of fun. I'm actually going to go shopping with a friend because he needs to do it, and I'm just like, I might as well just do it alongside with him, essentially. Delicious soup. Alright, let's get to it. We got plenty to do. We got a lot of story to get through. Chapter 4. It's time to continue the story. of the clouded Kokoro.
I begin to think, Wilson, said Sholmes, turning his head languidly in my direction, that there is more to this case than that which we have observed. Indeed, that there may be another part to this story that we are yet to discover. His eyes wandered, following the steam rising from his cup of herbal tea.
Herbal tea.
Leading him to the distant memory of that snowy evening.
Oh?
To the young lady collapsed on the pavement along Briar Road, and to the knife in her back.
Oh?
Lit in the soft glow of gas lamps, a most extraordinary scene had been set. And under the cover of a light fog, the curtain had risen silently on the insoluble mystery of our invisible killer.
19th of February, 9:47 a.m. The British Supreme Court, Lord Chief Justice's office. Did you sleep last night, Mr. Naruhito? No, not at all. It was an enormous hotel, wasn't it? The rooms were so luxurious, I felt like we were staying in a palace. And with all the gas lights twinkling, it was brighter than day, even in the middle of the night. What about the enormous beds? After my time on the SS Bureau, I wasn't going to waste a single inch of that space. I spent the entire night rolling from one side of the mattress to the other. Yes, it really was the sort of night you can only dream of normally. Except, when I learned that we owed £3 for the room, that dream quickly turned into a nightmare. Sorry about that. The building was so impressive and the entrance was so inviting, I just wandered in without thinking. In a lodging house in Japan, that sum of money would put a roof over your head for a whole year. I did try, but I'm afraid I couldn't help my tears when we were presented with the bill. I really am sorry. Well, never mind. We must find some more affordable lodgings straight away, though. If we're not careful, our entire stipend will be used up in 10 days or less. London is a scary place. Good morning to you at this early hour. Yes, well... Maybe I could try a little bit something different with his voice. Hold on. Good morning to you, Lord Chief Justice. We have come to report on the outcome of the trial at the Old Bailey yesterday. Saosan is amazing. She doesn't bat an eyelid, even the president of the imposing Lord Strongheart. Yes. I believe you had a very comprehensive initiation into British courtroom practices. Yes, it was very eye-opening, thank you. And in accordance with your instructions, Lord Strongheart, Mr. Naruhito performed his duty to the end. Yes, I've already been appraised of events. You've conducted a remarkable defense. You may consider the test passed. No longer are you a student from the Empire of Japan. May henceforth claim to be a fully fledged lawyer. My country is delighted to welcome young talent from such a remote eastern land. Thank you very much. So I'm a lawyer now. Now, in view of your new appointment, I have a fresh case in mind for you. I'd like you to take it on at once. I trust that won't be a problem. Another case already? Nothing trains a lawyer better than practical experience. I'm sure I don't sense dissatisfaction, do I? It's just that yesterday's trial ended unusually. I haven't quite come to terms with it. What's to come to terms with? The man was cleared. What more were you hoping for?
The culpability of the defendant has not at the present time been established by this court. Consequently, the jury will not be required to pre-offer judgment.
Well, Lord Van Zeeks, it's been a pleasure, so it has. And as for you, my dear fellow, I couldn't have asked for a better defense. I don't know how to put Strongheart yet. Because he also could be very much another Gant. I just can't help wondering if Mr. McGillid really was innocent. Mr. Naruhodo, it's just that I never managed to ascertain the truth. And then the trial ended. Well, you didn't let it trouble you for a second longer. Sorry. What do you mean, Lord Strongheart? Magnus McGill had passed away immediately following the trial. No. What? Mr. McGilded is dead? I have 19 minutes and 41 seconds until my next engagement. Time enough to talk. I don't understand. What happened? How could he be dead? After the trial concluded yesterday, there was a great commotion in the Old Bailey. As you presumably recall, an omnibus had been wheeled into the courtroom. Yes, of course. That was the scene of the crime which Mr. McGillid had been accused of. Precisely. Well, while the bailiff's attention was diverted by some other matter, the omnibus went up in flames. No. How could such a thing have happened? That is being investigated as we speak. But already, the police have identified a corpse found inside the charged shell of the carriage as that of McGilded. That's awful. The man must have slipped inside while the bailiff's attention was elsewhere. That bailiff really needs to pay more attention. And how could that have happened? That is also being investigated as we speak. Thinking back now, immediately after the trial, Mr. McGillid did mention going back into the courtroom to look at the omnibus. Well, I must be making tracks now. It's time for the inspection. Sorry, what inspection? They're going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. I asked if I could be present for it myself. An inspection of the omnibus? Not to my knowledge. I don't believe Scotland Yard had any intention of re-examining the carriage. But then who is Mr. McGillid talking about? Never mind that now. The Yard is making a thorough investigation. This matter is no longer any concern of yours. Leave it to the police. Poor Mr. McGilded. British court! So, how did you find your first taste of our country's Supreme Court? Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, it was, wow. Mr. Naruhodo means that the whole experience was steeped in the solemnity of Great Britain's long history. It's really a world apart from our own judicial system in Japan, which is only a few short decades old. Wow, Susan has such a way with words. And you seem to have a way of failing to find the right ones. I love how she speaks to his mind. The judicial system here is the most advanced in the world. Learn all you can. The most advanced in the world, is it? It was fortunate that your very first trial was a simple affair. Simple? That was simple. As I believe I mentioned yesterday morning, it was a trial you couldn't lose. I don't mean to be contradictory, Lord Strongheart, but the case was anything but simple. The circumstances of the case were so incriminating, I was stunned when I first heard them. In fact, I'm still finding it hard to believe that we managed to get a favorable verdict. Is something funny? No, my apologies. However, the fact is that you did receive the not guilty verdict you set out to achieve. And that can only be attributed to exceptional talent. Wouldn't you agree? Well, I don't know about that. Well, never mind. You exceeded my expectations, I freely admit. That much, at least, is an undeniable truth. Which is precisely why I have prepared the new case for you that I mentioned before. What's going on? What was he going to say before? Could you perhaps give us more details about the new case you mentioned? Don't tell me it's a murder and the trial starts in 10 minutes. Don't worry, it's nothing so alarming or quite so urgent as your last assignment. In fact, this case is completely different. Oh, I see. Did you just read my mind? That is to say, no one has died as of yet. And the trial will not be today. There is plenty of time to research the case thoroughly. 23 hours, 43 minutes, and 19 seconds, to be precise. So the trial's tomorrow, then. Is everything alright? Oh, yes. I'm just a little confused, that's all. Yesterday's trial was... well, it left me wondering if I'm really cut out for being a lawyer. Oh, Mr. Naruhado. I don't know if I could face standing in the courtroom again after Mr. McGilded's trial. Ah, yes, I nearly forgot. There is one similarity with yesterday's case. Once again, there is currently no one to advocate for the defense. If the situation remains unchanged, the trial will start tomorrow with the defendant unrepresented. And if that happens, I need not remind you of the inevitable outcome. The most terrible end awaits the defendant. Yes, that's right. Here we go again. Your time is up. You will have to excuse me. I would advise you to begin making preparations for tomorrow's trial. After all, the clock is ever ticking. There is now but 23 hours, 26 minutes, and 39 seconds until the court sits. Last time he mentioned the 23 hours, he said there was plenty of time. And one more thing, Mr. Naruhado. There is something I should like to ask you. What's that? Yesterday, you remarked upon something. that you intend to see through the will of your late compatriot, Mr. Asogi. I would be interested to hear what exactly you mean by that. Inside 34 seconds. Kazuma always used to say, you see, that he wanted to learn how the great justice system in the world works so he could change ours in Japan. So that he's gone, I'd like to work towards that myself. And there's another thing. Another thing. Continue. On the way here on the steamship, he said something to me. There's something very important I have to do. Something very important. And what exactly would that be? He never had a chance to tell me. I suppose he would have done if he'd ever made it to Great Britain. You're out of time. Well, thank you for an enlightening discussion. Mr. Naruhodo, what's all this about? Mr. Asogi never once mentioned anything of the sort to me. I urge you both to focus your attentions on the matter at hand. I've taken the liberty of summoning the police inspector in charge of the case. He'll be able to appraise you of the details. How long has he been there? So, I wish you the best of luck and bid you farewell. There's something very important that I have to do. Kazuma-sama, what did you mean? I wish I knew, but honestly, he never told me. Anyway, we had better talk to the detective, don't you think? Yes, you're right. I hope I'm not just imagining it, but I wouldn't say he looks pleased to see us at all. Could we trouble you?
What do you think?
Lovely weather, is it?
What's the weather got to do with anything?
Listen to me, you young Japanese upstart. Some frippery about the weather doesn't get every English gent eaten out of your hands, you know. Oh, but Susato-san told me it was foolproof.
I'm a very busy man, There's a crime scene to investigate, but I'm here having to give the likes of you a talking to.
Oh, I'm ever so sorry.
Can you imagine what the other officers there will be saying, Haven't seen Gregson anywhere, have you? No, he's too busy with the bigwigs these days. All because of some bumpkin who's here on a jaunt from a country I've never even heard of. Yes, the ripping sound, that's my reputation at the yard going to tatters.
There's no need to rip us apart as well. I don't believe we've been introduced. This is Mr. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, a defense lawyer. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I am Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant, It's lovely weather we're having today, isn't it?
It is unseasonably fine, I grant you. London's winters don't see a lot of sunshine.
Unbelievable! How did she pull that off?
So, Lord Strongheart has asked me to fill you in on the case. Name's Tobias Gregson, Inspector Gregson to you. I'm from Scotland Yard.
Gregson? Inspector Gregson? What's the matter? What's the matter with Susato-san? Does that detective's name mean something to her? Inspector, are you perhaps the Inspector Gregson? You're acting like you know this man, Miss Susato, but he's a London detective. Oh, I do know him. Very well, in fact. Very well? Yes, he features prominently in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Oh, in that publication? What's it called again? Rants Magazine? That's right, Inspector Gregson and Mr. Sholmes enjoy a wonderful friendly rivalry. Really? You rival the great Mr. Sholmes? That's incredible.
Oh, well, I don't know about that. Mr. Sholmes isn't a professional like myself, of course, but he does come up with the goods from time to time.
Mr. Sholmes is equally complimentary about you, Inspector, isn't he? You've earned his highest praise. Gregson is the pick of a bad lot of all the Scotland Yarders. Those were his words. That's his highest praise? Well, Mr. Sholmes isn't particularly known for giving compliments, you see.
That he is not, and thanks to that magazine, my name's known all over London town now.
That's great, isn't it?
I have to admit that to start with, I was a little, well, flattered by all the attention. Everyone wanted to shake my hand, and my reputation at the yard went through the roof.
Well, that's wonderful.
No, it's not. There's nothing more sinister than a man on the street. People are always looking at me now. They're whispering rumors about me under their breaths, I'm sure.
Rumors? Are you quite sure?
He's changed since he started appearing in those stories. The fame's gone to his head, stuff like that.
Gosh, do you really think people are saying such mean-spirited things about you?
Like I said, they whisper, so I can't catch exactly what they're saying. But I know what folks are like.
Aww.
I'm sure that's what they're saying. As sure as eggs is eggs.
I get the feeling this detective could be very hard. Could be very hard work. Oh dear. Perhaps a sudden raise to fame does change people. So, about the case that the Lord Chief Justice mentioned before?
Nothing to tell, really. As far as we're concerned at the yard, it couldn't be simpler.
Oh dear. That probably means that as far as we're concerned as lawyers, it couldn't be more complicated. I wish you were wrong about that, but I have a nasty feeling you're right.
A young woman was walking along the pavement on Briar Road when she was stabbed from behind. Fortunately, it wasn't fatal, but she's still laid up in the hospital unconscious.
That's despicable! What sort of coward would attack the poor woman from behind?
I suppose you would have finished whoever it was off with a suicidal takedown, wouldn't you?
That is neither here nor there, Mr. Naruhodo.
Brace yourself, Ryunosuke. You've angered her now. Anyway, after something of a whirlwind investigation, the criminal was arrested. He barely had time for a cup of tea after the incident took place, to be honest.
So there must have been something left at the scene that led you directly to the culprit? Or perhaps a reliable witness to recognize the person in question?
Let me stop you right there. You're wasting your time on this one.
Sorry?
There's nothing you can do. There's no way to help the bloke now.
Why ever not?
Simple. Prosecutor that's been assigned to the trial tomorrow is Lord Baron von Zeeks. Sounds like you've heard of him then.
Oh, yes, we are very familiar with Lord Van Zeeks. Believed to be the harbinger of death itself. The Reaper of the Bailey. Lord Baroque von Zeeks, who we faced in court only yesterday. Mr. McGilda told us about him before the trial, didn't he? When Van Zeeks stands for the prosecution, they call the accused his sacrificial lambs. In every single trial in which he's been the prosecutor, the accused has been damned. The Reaper of the Bailey's nickname. I suppose he's earned that because every defendant he advocates against is found guilty, is that it? Well, if that's the case, we should inform you, Inspector. In yesterday's trial against Lord Van Zeeks, Mr. Naruhodo secured a verdict of not guilty.
Ha! And what of it?
I think that means that even against the Reaper of Bailey, it's not impossible to save the defendant.
No, you really don't have a clue, do you?
Clav, hello! How are you doing? What do you mean?
What happened to the bloke in the end, eh? He's dead. Magnus McGilda came a cropper in the omnibus when it went up in flames. So you can't rightly say you saved the defendant, can you?
What are you saying?
Look, if Van Zeeks could get the dirt to stick on everyone, he'd be a miracle worker. But that's not how it goes. He doesn't work miracles, he works magic. Black magic.
Evening, Zeph.
I'd have a good long think about that if I were you.
Are we really supposed to believe that?
Right, well, I filled you in as requested, and I'm very nearly out of chips. So, I'll be heading back to the crime scene now. We're still carrying out a few investigations there.
It was Briar Road, you said, did you? Where the incident took place?
That's correct, ma'am. And if you head over there to the holding cells, you can meet the criminal himself.
You've branded him a criminal already?
He's as good as shaking like a leaf in his cell. He is. It'll give you a chuckle if nothing else. He's inmate 53. Speak to the jailer and he'll show you the way.
Inmate 53, thank you. So there's no helping anyone against the Reaper of the Bailey, they say. Is something troubling you, Mr. Naruhodo? To tell the truth, when I recall the trial yesterday, I can't stop myself from shaking. The idea of facing the Reaper in court again is... Well, if you think it's too much for you, there's no shame in turning the case down. That takes courage, too. But if the man they have arrested is innocent, you could well imagine he would be shaking like a leaf in his cell. And I, for one, wouldn't find the sight of that funny. So, if I'm honest, I'm still reeling from the shock of yesterday's events myself. And I'm really not sure if I'll be able to help this man, whoever he is. But I'd like to try, so I think I'm going to make some inquiries. Will you help? Did you really think you had to ask? After all, I am your judicial assistant. Thank you. So then, shall we? Yes, let's go. Oh, right. Wrong button. Let's go to the prison. Let's go say hi to him.
"19th of February, local prison, cell 9.
So these are British prison cells. Oh, they're ghastly. It feels like a dungeon.
Yes, and having experienced it in Japan myself, I can assure you that our wooden cells feel a lot cozier than these cold stone walls.
Oh, don't, Mr. Naruhodo, you're making it seem worse.
Apparently, our client is in his cell here. But it's so dark at the back there, I can't make him out.
I wonder what he's like.
Inmate 53, your legal representative is here to see you. Stop hiding at the back of the cell and show your face at once.
Am I a cat? As yet with no name? Calling me by a number? It's utterly unbelievable, unjustly, unreasonable. I refuse to answer. Mr. Naruhodo, what do you think is going on here?
I have no idea, but I was just hearing things, was I?
That tirade of complaints was in Japanese. Excuse me, but who— Shh, quiet. They're all around hiding. I know they are. They're watching, listening. Even now, I could sense it. Right. So, can I ask you who's like— There you are, you come to curse me, have you? Don't try to hide, you're a ghost! A ghost? You mean you no harm, prisoner-san. Are you Japanese by any chance? This is beyond my wildest dreams. Forgive me for that outburst before. I'm so sorry. Oh, it's fine. We were just a little surprised, that's all. Imagine it! I've been 12 long months since I left my hometown, and here I am in a frightful fix in a foreign land. So hearing the sweet, sentimental tones of a compatriot's voice here in this damp, dark hellhole of most monumentally moving monument. Who could have guessed that this new client Lord Strongheart assigned to us would turn out to be a fellow Japanese? What compassion my fellow countrymen show. Dispatch a first-class lawyer all the way from Japan to defend a mere foreign student. Noble, nurturing, never-failing Nippon. A first-class lawyer? Oh dear, I think there's been something of a misunderstanding here. I wonder, would you be so kind as to tell us what happened? Why you've been detained as a suspect, for example? Yes, I can! I will! Shan't stay sullen and silent! I'm not quite sure I understand what he means, but he seems happy. Yes, he does. I just hope he actually has a good reason to be. Long lost, hello! Thank you for your cooperation. I am a lawyer, as you said. My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I am Naruhodo-san's judicial assistant, Susato Mikotoba. I am a visiting student sent here by our government. Notably, notoriously named Natsumi Soseki Natsumi. Soseki Natsumi. Soseki Natsumi-san. What an unusual name. Call me Soseki, please. I'm a poet, you see, a writer of haiku. It's something of a nom de plume. Nom de plume? You mean an alias? That's right, Naruhodo-san. No! Don't be so... Something. It's much more refined than that! Haiku? That really reminds me of home. Did I hear you say that you were a visiting student sent over here by the government? Yes, that's right. A year ago I was told to go and study English. First I had to suffer the misery, and now this! It's beyond the pale! Suffer that misery? Did you not want to study here? No, I mean, I've had an interest in Great Britain for some years, of course. But just because the government tells you to do something doesn't mean you can do it, no. Well, what do you mean? If they told me to study English literature, that I could have understood. That's my field. But no, they told me to study the English language. Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly unreasonable. I see. Only the other day I was told to send a report about my first year here. I tendered a blank piece of paper. Wise words on whitewashy. You must be a man of great standing.
Oh, yes. So I am often told.
And often like to be, it seems. The accusation against you. Could you perhaps tell us what exactly you've been arrested, Soseki-san?
I didn't do it! I didn't commit that atrocious murder!
Murder?
Oh, no, it's alright. The woman didn't actually die, did she? But she was stabbed with a knife right before my eyes!
For your eyes? You mean you saw the attacker?
I didn't see anyone.
What?
If I'd seen the person who did it, do you think I'd be locked up in here?
Oh dear, it seems this case is becoming rather complicated.
Why me? Why me? Why did that silly woman have to be stabbed in front of me? It's the curse of London. It's incredibly, inexcusably, irritatingly inconvenient.
I really could use a drink. So Soseki-san was there at the scene, but he didn't see the attacker? It's vital that we find out more about the case. About the case?
It was an accursed evening, just after the snow had started to clear and heavy with fog. I'd been to the bookshop to buy some books, and I was on my way back to my accursed lodgings.
Sure, the bookshop wasn't a curse, too.
As I was walking along that accursed pavement, I couldn't make out the sole silhouette of another ahead of me. A woman wearing a green overcoat she was. And just as I went to overtake her, she suddenly let out a little scream and collapsed onto the cold, hard slabs of stone at my feet.
How terrible.
I called out to the woman, but she didn't move. It was like a ghostly, ghoulish, grim graveyard.
Slight exaggeration there, perhaps.
I was terrified. I had to get away from there. So I ran as fast as my legs could carry me back to my accursed lodgings.
That's not good.
They'll say it was shameful, I know, to run like that.
Tell me, Soseki-san, is the victim an acquaintance of yours?
Don't be ridiculous. Do you think I know any of these fair-haired English, and a young woman at that? I'm different, shy, timid, unsure. I can't talk to people.
I see, a young woman unknown to Soseki-san. And at the time it happened, who else did you see nearby? Did anyone pass you?
Regrettably, apart from myself and the woman, I didn't see a soul.
No one? Ah, great. So the victim was unknown to you, and there was nobody else on the street at the time. That creates something of a conundrum, doesn't it? What conundrum? The conundrum! What do you mean, Susato-san? What's the conundrum? Well, if what Soseki-san has just told us is true, there's something I can't explain. He says that he didn't know the victim, and that there was no one else at the scene. Then he apparently fled without having been seen.
I did.
But if that's the case, surely this man has to be the culprit.
Ugh, you! What did you just say?
Nothing, I didn't say anything. Oops, perhaps I thought that a little too loudly. Actually, that's not what's troubling me. What I was thinking was, how did Soseki-san actually come to be arrested? Sorry? He didn't touch the victim, and there was nobody at the scene to see him. So how did the police ever discover that he was there in the first place? Oh yeah, she's right.
It was him. But a cursed great detective, he led the police to me. Of all the bad luck.
A cursed great detective? Could it be?
I shall never forget that man's name as long as I live. With his haughty laugh and his self-proclaimed greatness. Brash, big-headed busybody, begone! May you be accursed until the end of your days, Herlock Sholmes.
I knew it. Mr. Sholmes? Sherlock Sholmes. Well, I didn't expect to hear that name from this man's lips, that's for sure.
It was the morning after that nightmare had unfolded on the pavement before me. I was gnawing on a sliver of hard cheese when some men suddenly burst in through the door. They started shouting at me, "This is the police, put the weapon down!" Yes, it was a thin sliver, but yes, it was hard, but I wasn't eating a weapon. Disgusting dietary discrimination devils!
You clearly had a trying morning yesterday.
And there he was, in the middle of the policeman, grinning like a Cheshire cat. That Herlock Sholmes.
It's actually Herlock Sholmes. He's English.
I've since found out that he's a famous name in detection here in London.
Yes, the great detective is really very well known.
And he's overly sharp mind managed to deduce my whereabouts, apparently. He thinks I'm the knife-wielding madman, me, the weak, stooped kitten of a man.
I wonder what great deduction process led him to his conclusion this time. Do you mean to say that Mr. Sholmes' deduction was the only reason the police arrested you? That would be really most unreasonable.
Well, the thing is, I was thrown into a panic when they barged their way in.
Of course you were. That's only natural.
I was terrified and trembling. They kept throwing questions after question at me in impossible English. Fiendish foreign film flammery.
Flimflammery, excuse me. Well, we are in England. You can't really blame them for questioning you in English.
Good point. But my mind went blank. I knew I had to answer, but I didn't know what to say. So I just kept repeating things like, "Yes, I do," and "I'm fine." Next thing I knew, I was in manticles, and before I knew it, I was thrown in here.
Oh dear, I'm afraid that's hardly surprising.
I'm fine. He's not fine now. Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire! You can just call me Naruhodo, and when we're speaking English, a simple mister is more than enough. Yes, right, yes. They've really got to me. This country is poisoning my mind. But please, I beg you to defend me in court tomorrow. You could tell them what really happened. You'll do it, won't you? Well, why? Why is it so hard to say yes to me?
Well, the thing is, I'm just a student like yourself, on a study tour. A student? I have defended a case in the Old Bailey, only the one though. But at this moment in time, I really don't know what I'm supposed to believe in. I'm confused about what justice in this country even means. Naruhodo-san.
Naruhodo-san. I'm not even the foreign student who was supposed to be here. I'm sort of a locum lawyer, I suppose. But that armband! That's the mark of a defense lawyer from our great empire! It's a keepsake from the man who should have been here. It was my best friend. A keepsake?
know exactly what they're saying about me. Oh, what do you mean? Lawyers, all the British defense lawyers, they won't defend me. Goodness, why do you say that? For the same reason as you noted before. When it happened, there was only the victim and myself around, and I ran away from the scene of the crime. I'm not a fool. I know it looks as though I must be the culprit. It must be very hard for you, Soseki-san. And anyway, I'm a student from overseas. I'm just a foreign nobody to them, someone not to be trusted. I heard them openly laughing about me before, in my earshot, without any compunction at all. Any trial for this man would be a waste of time, they said, and of course the foreigner did it. They even had the gall to say the man doesn't understand half of what's being said anyway. That's awful. They're wrong. I've studied more English than half of the policemen out there on the street. I've traveled halfway around the world to learn about these people's country and its great history. But no one here wants to listen to a man with a strange accent. They all hate me. So, at the very least, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who can listen to me in my native tongue. You could do it, could you? When I look into your eyes, I can see it. I can see what you've been through. Soseki-san, it's just that... Give me a little time, please. I'll do what I can, for the time being. What do you mean? We shall investigate the case as thoroughly as possible. If we can find some clues, it will give us a much better chance, I'm sure. Oh, yes, thank you. I'll be here, all alone, waiting for you. Locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. We should be going then, Naruhodo-san. We have a case to prepare for.
Time to move to the Briar Road and see what it is we can do today.
"19th of February, Briar Road. So this is where it happened, Briar Road. Look, Mr. Naruhodo. Look at the regulation metal helmet. It's unmistakable. The men of Scotland Yard are here. They're investigating as we speak. That is their job, you know. But Mr. Naruhodo, to see one with my own eyes. They're often depicted in the adventures of Herlock Sholmes, but I never dreamt I'd ever come this close to a real Bobby's helmet.
What? The helmet?
Of course. I have to try one on one day.
Well, I hope your hatty dreams come true. What's the Japanese delegation doing here?
Oh, Inspector Gregson.
This isn't on the tourist trail, as I'm fairly sure you're well aware.
Yes, of course. We're here to investigate.
So you've been onto the holding cells then? What do you think of the criminal?
He's not a criminal, as you put it, Inspector. He's a suspect.
We'll see about that. You Japanese like to stick together, I suppose. Well, do what you will, it doesn't bother me. The bloke's in court tomorrow, whatever happens, and the verdict... and the verdict's a foregone conclusion.
The stone-cold air of rejection. Take heart. London at this time of year is full of stone-cold air.
That makes it worse somehow.
Tell me about Scotland Yard, Inspector. Ever since I read about it in the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, I've been fascinated by the place.
The Yard is the most sophisticated policing organization you'll find anywhere in the world, ma'am.
Oh, and you know I've always dreamt of wearing a real Bobby's helmet. It does make them look the part, seeing the policeman there with a helmet on. You certainly get that sense that this is a man who will take no nonsense in his duty of protecting the city. Yes, doesn't he look wonderful?
Being a London Bobby is hard going, I can tell you.
Oh, really?
First thing in the morning, you know what he does? Goes round and rouses all the laborers on his beat so they can get off to work.
What? He wakes people up?
Yep. Raps on the windows with a long pole. Did it myself. Going back a bit.
I had no idea.
Bobby works for the people of the town. It's just another one of his duties. After that, he starts tirelessly patrolling the streets all day long. He has to cover 20 miles a day. That's the regulation distance.
I can't really imagine how far that is, but it sounds like a long way. Let me see. 20 miles, that's approximately the distance from Tokyo to Yokohama. On foot? That's definitely taking things a step too far.
And when it gets dark, of course, he has the important job of lighting all the gas street lamps.
Oh my. And I suppose in between all those duties, Bobbies are expected to investigate cases as well. And chase after criminals trying to evade the law.
I'm not sure you could call it in between exactly. More alongside, but yes. They're expected to handle those jobs as well. We do have men keeling over from time to time, I admit.
I'd always dreamt of wearing one of those helmets, as I said. But it's with a heavy heart that I shall have to relinquish that dream to you, Mr. Naruhodo.
Your heavy heart will be my heavy head if you do.
About the case.
It happened around 5 in the evening 2 days ago, just there on that open bit of pavement. The victim, a young woman, was stabbed with a blade from behind.
Is it right that the lady is still unconscious now? You mentioned that she's being treated in a hospital.
It was said she was a lady. Truth is, unless she comes around pretty smartish, we won't be able to find out much about her at all.
I suppose that means they haven't been able to take a statement from her, of course.
Here's a map of the local area I happen to have on me. You can take it if you want.
Really? Are you sure?
It's your policy to give lawyers, defendants, suspects the odd bit of information to go on.
I haven't actually accepted the job yet, but still. Thank you, Inspector. We'll greatly accept it.
The local map has been entered into the court record. Anyway, as far as we know, there was no one else on the scene other than the victim and your fellow countrymen. So who did it, do you think? Not much of a head scratcher, is it?
Well, I know Mr. Natsumi is also claiming to have not seen anyone else around, but just because he didn't see anyone, it doesn't mean we can't be sure that nobody else was present.
I'm sorry to have to tell you, but we most certainly can be sure.
How?
Because, ma'am, the precise moment of the stabbing didn't go unnoticed.
What?
We have 2 very reliable witnesses, no less. It was a typical foggy London day, and your client obviously didn't see them.
We're witnesses now? Who are the witnesses, Inspector?
A fellow and his wife. And the man's one of the most reliable and respected citizens in all of London. He's a copper from Scotland Yard.
A policeman? That might change things. And this policeman just happened to be there at the exact moment the woman was attacked.
Nothing peculiar about that, ma'am. Part and parcel of being a bobby, catching them banging the act and all that.
Do you think it might be possible for us to ask that policeman a few questions?
Be my guest. You can ask him what you like in court tomorrow. No doubt he'll be summoned as a witness. So that'll give you something to look forward to.
That's that then. He got no intention of letting us meet the man beforehand, it seems. The policeman witnessed the incident. As your judicial assistant, I must warn you that this could make our job very difficult indeed.
Yes, as a non-judicial assistant, I could have warned me of that too.
Oh yes, one more thing, Inspector.
What?
The person who led you to the suspect. I hear that was Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
What are you really bringing him up for?
Was it something I said? The color has drained from his cheeks.
Who did you hear that name from?
Oh, well, it was Mr. Natsumi who mentioned it. He said that Mr. Sholmes was with the police when they entered his lodgings. I'm sure it was the result of one of Mr. Sholmes' inspirational great deductions.
Fiddle faddle! The man's an amateur, and I'm getting sick and tired of him showing his mug everywhere. I don't know where he gets his information from, but he turns up at the scene of the crime, wanders around spouting incomprehensible rubbish, and before you know it, he claims to have solved the case.
Yes, he's quite astounding, isn't he? He is a great help to Scotland Yard, though, isn't he?
Gibble gabble! Ever seen this before?
Yes, that's Rant's Magazine. A wonderful publication in which the adventures of Herlock Sholmes appears.
Yes, well, that wonderful publication, as you put it, sees fit to include several of the Yard's detectives in its stories. And the so-called great detective makes a mockery of all of us. If you ask anyone at the Yard, it's a misadventure to be included in any of Herlock Sholmes' tale at all.
Well, I suppose there is an element of that.
We work our socks off, every one of us, only to be frumped by the public thanks to that obnoxious detective. That man's as dangerous to us at Scotland Yard as he is to all of our criminals.
Can't really be true, can it, Inspector? Clearly, the great detective and the police have a complex relationship.
That twitchy Japanese bloke goes on trial tomorrow. Are you going to defend him or not?
Well,
makes no difference to me, but I will just say this. No London lawyer worth his salt would touch that case with a barge pole.
As the prosecution's being handled by the Reaper of the Bailey, you mean?
There's no way to save that man now. It's a waste of time trying. It is all a bit strange, though.
Sorry?
The Reaper hasn't appeared in court once for a good few years now.
Yes, we did hear something to that effect.
The only people he usually bothers are the real scum, the master criminals, the violent ones.
Master criminals? The violent ones?
That's right. He handpicks his victims, only deals with those guaranteed to go to the gallows for their sins.
But Mr. Natsumi wouldn't hang for what he's accused of, surely.
That's just my point, sunshine. Yes, the young woman was stabbed, but it didn't kill her. Couldn't even say the intent was there. This isn't the sort of case I expect in the Reaper to want to sink his teeth into, for want of a better phrase.
Well, it's not exactly a minor infraction, is it?
No, there's got to be more to it. Some reason he's taken an interest.
Really? What sort of reason, Inspector?
You think I can tell what's going on inside the head of that Lord of Darkness? You'll have to ask him yourself at tomorrow's trial.
I'm really going to have to face the Reaper again, the Lord of Darkness, as he puts it. Well, I don't think we're going to get any more useful information out of the detective. Mr. Naruhodo, can I make a suggestion? Yes, what is it? Well, it seems to me that we must speak with him about this.
By him, do you mean Mr. Sholmes?
Yes, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, exactly.
Look at those shining eyes. You can't wait, can you? Well, Mr. Natsumi did blame Mr. Sholmes for all of this, didn't he?
Yes, he did. He really did. Which makes him an involved party in the case. Are you going to ignore that? I hope not. I assure you, it's not simply my selfish desire to meet with Mr. Sholmes again.
The trouble is, we have no idea of the man's address even, so
it's Baker Street.
how do you know that?
It's in the stories, of course. 221B Baker Street, the most famous address in the world.
Oh, I see. Well, there's nothing to stop us from going, I suppose.
We better try and find a way there before Susato-san gets any more excited and unpredictable. Hurrah! I'll summon a carriage!
So we're to have a reunion already with the great detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. A new location has been added. My goodness, it got so unsnowy.
Thank you very much.
It's just up there overlooking the street. Good day.
Okay, boy.
221B.
This is it. The residence of Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
Runic, hello. And goodbye, I guess.
Oh, I will also have some How you doing, sweetie? So this is where the great detective makes his living. Feels surreal to be here somehow. Eepy. Aww. The new Mana game? What new Mana game? Is it as described in the stories, Mr. Sato? Susato-san?
Many, many famous cases have been solved here in this very room.
I suppose they must have been, yes. Visions of Mana? Where? I'm looking at this right now. I love the Mana series to some degree. No, I like it pretty much. Give me a minute. You'll DM it to me? Alright, do that. I want to see this. I want to see this game. I never read the story, so it's hard to get as excited about it as she seems to be. Actually, my first introduction into the game was The Secret of Mana. And then Trials of Mana whenever they remade it, which I like Trials of Mana a lot.
The detective chases the villain relentlessly as he disappears into the fog down an unlit London street. Oh, the thrill of it, the romanticism. Can you feel your heart thumping in your chest? Can you, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, I suppose I can, yeah. So, if you don't mind... The second game on the SNES. Yeah. I'm nobody special. I'll just stand here and soak up the atmosphere for a while longer. Please, don't mind me. She's obsessed. Well, looks like our detective friend isn't home at present. Excuse me, is anyone home? Oh, do we have a visitor? Hello! Is it a big new case for Mr. Sholmes? Hello? Wait, aren't you... Oh, how rude of me! I'll go and make some tea at once. I'm sure it's the same girl. Mr. Sato, did you see the girl who was just here? Oh yes, isn't it truly extraordinary? To think that the King of Bohemia came to this very room to ask Mr. Sholmes to take on his case. The King of Bavaria? King William Gorstrick Sigmundsson von Ormiston, of course. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Forget the adventures of Sherlock Holmes for a moment and look over there. The tea's brewed, and I have a freshly baked cake as well. It's you. I knew it. Susato-san recognized her too. Ah, there you are! And taking that with you as well. I was looking forward to the trial run of my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Oh, good day to you. I'm, well, the inventor, I suppose, of that machine. It's the girl who turned up at the end of Mr. McGillicud's trial in the defendant's antechamber. Look at this over here. Isn't it cute? I love it. It's so adorable. Anyways. I've never met a lawyer from the Far East before. Are you having to get straight to work when you've only just arrived in London? Yes, it was challenging. Well, try this tea. It's my special blend, you know. Thank you. Is tea supposed to look that colorful? My, what a fragrant yet mellow flavor. Hooray! It's a winner! I tried blending different leaves designed to alleviate fatigue, you see. You must be exhausted after your long voyage here, and you have another ticklish trial ahead. Oh, and you're to defend a Japanese man. I do wish you lots and lots of luck. Did Mr. Sholmes tell you about us by any chance? Oh, you know Hurley, do you? Hurley? Mr. Sholmes to you, Shirley? Mr. Sholmes was a fellow passenger on the boat that brought us to Great Britain, you see. Was he really? Well, I had no idea. I'm afraid Hurley's out on an errand again today, even though he's just returned from overseas. Wait a minute. We met this girl for the first time yesterday after the trial, and only briefly at that. How on earth does she know so much about us? Did she deduce all these things, do you think? And perhaps more to the point, why is she here in Mr. Sholmes' suite? Oh, silly me, I haven't introduced myself, have I? It's a great pleasure to meet you both. My name is Iris Wilson. I live here together with Hurley. Iris, is it? What a lovely name. What? What's the matter? No, wait, this can't be. Did you say that your name is Wilson? What's the matter, Susato-san? Why is she so flustered all of a sudden? Yes, that's right. And what are your names? Oh, I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo, a lawyer from Japan. Oh, sorry. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant, Susato Mikotoba. It's wonderful to meet you. Lovely! Susie and Runo. Got it. Susie? And Runo? There's more to this girl than meets the eye. There's so many questions for her, I don't know where to start. Yes, and so do I. It was you that we ran into yesterday, wasn't it? At the Old Bailey. Yes, that's right. You were ever so helpful, thank you so much. No, not at all. I'm so sorry we couldn't have been more welcoming. Though at the time, we did have a rather large gun pointed at us. Like this? Thinking back now, you left with Miss Lestrade in tow, didn't you? Yeah, that awkward witness, Gina Lestrade. Oh, Jeannie? Yeah, she's a professional pickpocket. So we found out. It was very naughty of her to pitch my invention like that. And you're referring to the trial-disrupting gun-like contraption? Exactly! So I followed her, you see, to get it back. Perhaps I should think about fitting a self-destruct mechanism in my inventions. This girl is dangerous. Anyway, I brought Jeannie back here after that, so she can apologize to my trusty technician. Sorry, your technician? Really, of course, silly. Hurley? Yes, Herlock Sholmes. We live here together. I had no idea the great detective had such an interesting young daughter. Daughter? Not likely. What? I wouldn't call him Hurley if he was my father, would I? Well then, what is your relationship with Mr. Sholmes? Well, I expect you found out that lodgings of any kind in London are very expensive. So the solution is to share the cost with a partner, a roommate. Your roommates? And they were roommates. I hope you don't mind me asking ours, but how old are you? 10 at last this year. Chozo, stop it. Well, what of your mother and father? Oh no, they're not around. Oh, I see. I wonder what the story is there. Yes, there's something I must ask you. Of course. Go ahead, Susie. I'm a very great fan of the Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, and you have a copy of Rant's magazine? Yes, I read every issue. It's delivered all the way to Japan on a ship. Ah, this is so exciting! My stories are being read on the other side of the world! My stories? That's right, Hurley is always solving such amazing cases, you see, and he tells me all about them. They really are quite fascinating. It would be such a shame if I was the only one who ever heard them, don't you think? Goodness. Last night, he was telling me all about a new case he'd solved on a steamship traveling from a faraway land. So I was just in the middle of typing up the manuscript for the next issue before he came. So you are the author. Yes, I'll let you in on a secret if you like. I'm going to call the latest adventure the Speckled Band. Speckled Band? That's certainly very familiar. Of course, I always change one or two details in the stories here and there. This time, I had the idea of making a venomous snake be the cause of all the trouble. Oh, that was Mr. Sholmes' first thought as well, actually. Yes, and of course I know that a snake might not be a credible fit for the facts of the case exactly, but... It's a story. Some poetic license is justified to make it more thrilling, I think, don't you? So, do you mean to say... Are the stories about Mr. Sholmes that are published in Rants magazine all written by me? Yes, on my wonderful and very modern typewriter. But all the stories I've ever read are written by a doctor of medicine, Dr. John H. Wilson. Susato-san's getting more and more worked up. Ah, yes, that's me. I mean, my name is Wilson. But what about the Doctor of Medicine part? That's all true too. I am a Doctor of Medicine. No, at 10 years old. At 10 years old. Well, that's quite incredible. But, Dr. Wilson is an English gentleman. Yes. I did alter the settings slightly for the stories to be more compelling. Well, it sounds a little strange, doesn't it? A great detective with a 10-year-old girl in tow? I suppose it does, yes. Poor Susato-san. She looks like her whole world has just fallen apart. Your deductions just now. About before. Yes, what's on your mind, Runo? Do tell me. How did you know that I was a lawyer and we just arrived in London, I mean? Yes. Oh, and that we had a difficult trial tomorrow. How did you know all about that? Oh, that's what you mean. Please, tell us how you did it. Explain every detail. Of course! I'd be delighted, though there's really no mystery. Now, let's begin. Iris Wilson is proud to present her logic and reasoning spectacular. First of all, I knew already that you were a lawyer, Runo. After all, I met you yesterday at the Old Bailey in the defendant's antechamber. But you also said that we only just arrived in London. How did you know that? I observed a passport and a travel ticket protruding from your breast pocket. Oh. So I was reasonably confident that you must have only just arrived in our country. And on top of that, you accepted the case against a particular prosecutor, telling me that you were unaware of London's court affairs. The Reaper of the Bailey, I walked right into that one, didn't I? Then I noticed a red ink stamp on the back of Susie's hand. You were given that when you visited the local prison to meet with a suspect, weren't you? Earlier today. They used those stamps to keep a close eye on comings and goings, you see? I didn't realize. And a red stamp is only used for people visiting foreign inmates. So that told me that even though you had only yesterday concluded the trial of Magnus McGilded, the two of you had already had cause to visit a foreign inmate at a local prison. However, neither of you wearing a particularly sad expression on your face, so I concluded that the prisoner was unlikely to be a friend or a relative. That led me to believe that you must have accepted a new case. I see. But how can you know that the trial is tomorrow? Well, having barely been home a few hours yesterday, Hurley solved yet another case. It's obviously amused him. He told me that he caught a Japanese man who was brawling and trembling. A Japanese man? Well, clearly that must have been Mr. Natsumi. Now, Runo has that fancy Japanese sword. And I think your outfit is called a kimono, isn't it, Susie? Well, anyway, it's clear to me that you both came from Japan yourselves. So I put two and two together and decided you must be defending the Japanese man Hurley caught. And there was only one other conclusion those facts could lead me to. You both came here to ask Hurley about the case. Oh yeah, she has all the brain wrinkles. There's a note on the mantelpiece that says the man's trial will be tomorrow. Hurley is always stabbing his notes with a knife, you know. He is silly. And that's all there was to that's all there was to it, really. Thank you for listening. I'm Iris Wilson, and that was one of my great detections. Stab the wall. Well, was it a winner? Were my deductions correct? They were spot on. That was amazing, Iris. Truly a great deduction. You even managed the certain something of Mr. Sloane's delivery. Oh, well, I was just copying Hurley's style for that. This is really good. This is really very good news. You could tell us all about the case involving the Japanese man. You will, won't you, Iris? Please. So yesterday, Mr. Shalom's apprehended a Japanese man, you were saying? Yes. Hurley had just arrived back in London after his sea voyage. But the police were waiting for him at the railway station to take him directly to the crime scene. Ah, the great detective is this popular man, it seems. Apparently, a woman was stabbed on a quiet street somewhere in town. There were witnesses who had seen a short, shifty-looking, stooped man running away from the scene. A short, shifty-looking, stooped man. Mr. Natsumi, beyond any doubt. Saseki-san said that he didn't see anybody else on the street at all. But it seems there were witnesses after all. Hurley uses great detective powers to determine the man's address. It was a lodging room, very nearby. He went directly there with the police. And what did they find? A short, shifty-looking, stooped man, shivering in fear. Mr. Shalom's great deduction certainly hit the mark that time. Of course it did. He's a great detective. Still, that means the incident occurred only 2 days ago. Surely tomorrow's too soon for the trial, isn't it? Definitely. We have no time to investigate properly. Hurley says that London is rife with crime. Oh? Scotland Yard is doing its best, but they can't stay on top of it, apparently. Oh dear. I hadn't realized the situation was so dire. That's why they can't afford to spend too much time investigating cases and trying the criminals in court. Staff and money are both short. Crimes are usually pinned on the first suspicious person. That's terrible. I suppose it's the harsh reality of the workings of the world's greatest justice system. I suppose it is, but in that case, I don't hold out much hope for Soseki. Thank you for answering so many of our questions, Iris. This has been very informative. Oh, you're most welcome. I've had so much fun. Do you happen to know where Mr. Sholmes is at the moment? As you guessed, we'd like to ask him some questions about this case as well. Well, I expect Hurley is still investigating the scene. Of the case involving Mr. Natsumi, you mean? Yes, Mr. Nuts. Oh, May? Hurley said he was going to the man's lodgings. If you leave now, you'll probably catch him there. Iris, do you know where those lodgings are? Well, I imagine the police are still investigating the scene of the crime themselves, aren't they? Did you happen to come across a detective by the name of Gregson when you were there? Yes, we know Inspector Gregson. Oh, goody. In that case, give Grexy this for me, would you? If you do that, I'm sure he'll tell you what you want to know. What is this? A 5-shilling piece and a postcard, it seems.
It's been entered into the court record.
It reads, "Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that won't be a problem." Gosh, this would make the inspector help us, will it? Well, thank you, Iris. We'll give it a try. Good luck then. I'm going to return to writing my manuscript, The Speckled Band. And I'll be making more special blends of tea, so come back soon. We'd be delighted. Thank you so much, Iris. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, it's back to the scene of the crime. So,
Why am I yawning?
somewhat dubious that they would exert any influence over the men of Scotland Yard at all. We headed back to the scene with Iris's curious note and one of the world's heaviest silver coins in hand.
Oh? To be continued, I see.
Well, we still got time. We can easily do another part.
Yes, saving!
And moving on.
19th of February at 2:38 p.m. Briar Road.
Looks as though the police are still here, carrying on with their investigation. Perfect. So let's find Inspector Gregson as quickly as possible. Yes, and let's see if he'll take a break from his chips to look at the silver tip Iris gave us for him. Inspector Gregson, do you have a moment?
Sorry to say I don't. I'm a very busy man. Much too busy to talk to a pair of foreign gagabouts, that's for sure.
We have these for you. A present from Miss Iris Wilson.
What? For me? From her ladyship?
Her ladyship?
Give that here at once! Come on, head over, that's for me!
Don't wait for me to give it to you, will you? What was the coin exactly?
It's a silver crown, obviously, but it's a lot more than that. It's, well, it's an appearance fee, that's what it is.
An appearance fee? Oh, I see. You mean...
That's right, for the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. Her ladyship always offers me a small financial reward for featuring me every time.
Yes, of course. I know all about your exploits, Inspector. I read them avidly.
Of course, her using my name without me say so does make me the butt of a lot of unpleasant jokes, but still.
I'm sorry, Inspector. That must be difficult for you.
Never you mind that. So, what do you want to know then, eh?
Sorry?
Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that it won't be a problem, it says. Well, obviously it's not a problem. Go on, fire away. What do you want to know?
Well, if you wouldn't mind, Inspector, we'd very much like to know the address of Mr. Natsumi's lodgings.
Ah, a little knife-wielding, mustached Japanese fellow. Lives in a right old hovel. It's just over there. Look! On the first floor of that house, on the corner where that wreck of a bicycle propped up.
That is nearby indeed.
If I remember rightly, the landlord is a Mr. John Garib.
Geradib. Ugh, that's such a weird name.
We'll just call him John. Right, well, if you see her again, make sure you give her ladyship my regards, you hear? Well, I mean it, you tell her that Gregson sends his very best wishes.
Don't worry, Inspector, we will.
Goodbye for now, then. And long live her ladyship.
Well, at least he told us what we wanted to know before he left. Yes, so then, shall we go and see what we can find in Natsumi's lodgings? Definitely.
A new location has been added.
It's a vicious cycles of cold shoulders. Ah. 19th February, Mr. Natsumi's lodgings.
May I help you?
Yes, would this be the residence of Mr. John Garibdib?
Indeed it would, sir. And who, may I say, is calling?
My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Mr. Naruhodo is representing Mr. Soseki Natsumi. I believe he takes lodgings here. We would very much like to ask him some questions about our client.
One moment, please. I shall convey the message to Mr. Gerbdib.
Did you see that, Miss Usato? That was a real-life English maid. I know. As I understand it, anyone of standing in English society employs a number of household staff. But that was the first time I've ever seen one in the flesh. Oh, this day keeps getting better. It certainly feels like we've really arrived now, doesn't it? We need only to meet a butler and the experience will be complete. Well, I'm not sure if I'd go that far, but I understand the sentiment.
Thank you for waiting. Mr. Garb will see you now. This way. Good day to you. John Gerdib at your service.
Pleased to meet you, sir. This is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. He's a defense lawyer.
Do excuse me not getting up. Took a shot to the knee a few years back in the Battle of Mawand, don't you know? Earned a medal for my pains, but had to withdraw from the service, handed over the reins to the up-and-comings.
So he's a retired soldier.
It's a hell of a job getting up and down stairs now, I can tell you. Don't get out as much as you can imagine.
Yes, it's quite a climb up here to the second floor, isn't it? I was planting at the top of the stairs. You really must take more exercise, Mr. Naruhodo. Do you think so? Well, Mr. Gerdib, no doubt you were very courageous to earn yourself a medal.
Oh, but it was nothing. The medal's just a folderol, really. Wouldn't like to offend the general, though, so I grudgingly display it on the wall. Why don't you fetch it down, Joanne? Let these good people see it properly. Joanne, fetch the... Dash it, old woman, be careful! Oh, dearie me, I do beg your pardon, sir. Jolly nearly took the skin off my hand. You should be more careful, sir. So anyway, there you have it. Living the quiet life now.
Yes, I see.
Now then, I hear you want to know about the chap lodging downstairs. Is that right?
Yes, we'd be very grateful if you could answer some questions for us.
It's a man made of honor. Stop it. Stop it, you. Only too pleased, naturally, especially if it helps to keep the peace here in Blighty. We forged an alliance with the Empire of Japan recently, as I'm sure you're aware. But this case is very much in the public eye, as it were.
Oh, is it?
Even had some famous detective poking around, you know, in this old house, would you believe?
Yes, Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
Couldn't have been. Didn't catch the chap's name. Not really my cup of tea, all that detective business.
Oh, but you have a copy of Rant's magazine here, so...
No. Anyway, the chap's investigate the foreigner's room as we speak.
So he's in Soseki-san's room.
It's a bally nuisance. That is what it is. The whole neighborhood's twitching in curtains now. I'd like all this fuss I don't like all this fuss. It's jolly unsettling.
About Mr. Natsumi. About Mr. Natsumi then, Mr. Gardep. Please do tell us.
Yes, a Japanese chap. Only been lodging here for a week.
Oh, just 1 week? So he moved in very recently then?
I have 2 lodges most of the time, one on the ground floor and one just below us. The first floor became available a week ago, you see. Then... Dash it all, Joanne! Do be careful! Oh my goodness, I'm terribly sorry, sir! If you want to know my opinion, I thought he was a shady sort the moment I set eyes on him.
Oh, why?
He seemed to have a most nervous disposition, always shaking and looking over his shoulder. The man had shady written across his sweaty soaked brow, if you ask me. I said to myself, Joanne, that man is trouble. Sooner or later he's going to do something untoward. And I'm rarely wrong about anything.
Won't be calling this maid as a witness, that's for sure. Was there anything else that struck you as suspicious about the man at all?
Yes. Oh, yes, indeed, there was.
And she's dying to tell us. Had you noticed anything else about your lodger, Mr. Natsumi?
Oh my word, yes! The man was shadier than an orchard.
Could you elaborate? Oh my gosh, such a gossip.
Well, take the man's room. Absolutely stuffed full of books it is. More than anyone could ever read. And he never so much as passes the time of day with another living soul. I haven't seen a single visitor call. Just trots off to that old bookstore every single day and comes back at 5 to light the gas fire. The funny little man is up long past the time everyone else is in the house has gone to bed, too.
Oh, I see.
The gentleman on the ground floor goes to bed at around 9 each night. But I've never known that Japanese fellow to retire any earlier than 2 in the morning.
Ah. Could you clarify something, I wonder?
What, pray?
How do you know so much about Mr. Natsumi's routine? I'd understand that neither of the lodgers live on this floor of the house, is that correct?
That's right. They're both below us on the first floor and street level.
Then, how is it that you know so much about the lives of your lodgers? The precise times they come back in the evenings, for example, even the times they go to bed.
Good grief, Joanne, be more careful, woman!
Oh my goodness, sir, I'm so terribly sorry, sir.
Something doesn't add up here. It seems that the incident took place at around 5 in the evening. Did you happen to look out the window at around that time?
That window?
Yes, we noticed that the window over there looks out over Briar Road. The incident took place on the pavement just on the far side of the street. Was there anyone suspicious loitering nearby?
5 o'clock is dinner time in the Gerdab household. I'm afraid I don't remember seeing anything. How about you, Joanne? No, sir. It would have been dark outside already at that hour. And with the fog as well, I should think it would have been quite impossible to see the other side of the road.
Oh, I see. Did you notice anything else out of the ordinary then? Such as...
Anything at all, even if it seems unrelated.
Well... Yes? Was there something then?
Well, it's nothing particularly significant, but around that sort of time of year, that... For the love of God, Joanne, watch what you're doing!
Oh, dearie me, what have I done? I'm so awfully sorry, sir.
Do be more careful, woman!
Of course, sir. If I may, Mr. Narrow Hollow.
Oh, yes?
I have an exceedingly good memory, and as far as I remember, nothing of any significance took place here at that hour. Nothing at all.
Oh, really, Mr. Gerda? The way you were talking before, it sounded rather like there might have been.
Oh, well, as I was saying, it was just trifling matter, really, nothing... Joanne, dash it all, what is the matter with you, woman?
Begging your pardon, sir. Nothing happened.
Yes, quite. Nothing happened. We sat down to a quite uneventful meal. Joanne.
That's right, Mr. Gerda.
What is the matter with these two?
Sounds like something's happened here in this room on the evening of the incident. But what?
I wish I knew. Could you tell us which floor Mr. Natsume's room is on?
Why, certainly, just below us on the first floor.
And Mr. Slums is investigating there, even as we speak.
Yes, told me Natsu's name had asked him to look into the matter, so I gave him the key.
Mr. Natsume has engaged Mr. Sholmes' services? Has engaged?
Everybody in England is crazy!
Well, everybody in this series is crazy. It's a blatant lie. Would it be alright if we also had a look around in Mr. Natsume's room, I mean?
Don't see why not. It's just down one flight of stairs.
Who knows if we'll find anything that could help us with the case, but we have to try. We need all the clues we can lay our hands on, shall we? Yes, and while we're there, we can speak with Mr. Sholmes again. Perhaps he'll be able to tell us more. Yay! Mr. Natsume's room! Kitty!
19th February, Mr. Natsume's room.
I will have a bite of this delicious soup that I just have here. Nom nom nom. Wow. Ah. What? Just look at this place. And smell it. It's so musty in here. I suppose it's the mountains of old books that are responsible for that. I don't think I've ever seen so many books in all of my life.
No, me either.
It's so dark in here, too. Is that the window over there? Well, it was the window, I think, yes, once upon a time. But for some reason, it's been closed up with bricks and mortar. So this is where Mr. Natsume lives. By the way, I haven't spotted Mr. Sholmes anywhere, have you? No, that's true, but according to what Mr. Garadebs told us, the great detective should be around here somewhere investigating. Can we? I want to look at the cat first. Excuse me. Kitty! Oh my, what an adorable little cat. Perhaps he's looking after all the books while his master is away. I don't know about that. He disappeared into that pile of books as quickly as a flash. It was a tricolor monkey, wasn't it? Do they even have that sort of cat here in Great Britain? Or Miki? Perhaps Mr. Natsumi brought the little creature with him from Japan. That made me feel homesick now. Already? We've only been in the country for 2 days. Ugh. Look at all those books stacked up there. They almost reached the ceiling. They're all works of English literature, and they all smell so musty. With this volume of books to hand, you'd never be short of reading material, would you? No, it would be a dream. What a dreamy idea. A bad dream, maybe, for me at least. Mind you, I don't imagine the books that's at the bottom of the pile now will ever be read again. So reading is that an experience that comes but once in a lifetime, just as the tea ceremony teaches us. I certainly didn't expect the conversation to turn down the path of tea ceremony philosophy. The desk seems to be wedged into a crevice between the mountain of books on either side. I suppose Mr. Natsumi would sit there and read while stroking his cat. But surrounded on all sides by these towering old tomes, surely he dreamt of books every night as well. Yes, he must have done, mustn't he? Oh, what's this? It's a receipt from a second-hand bookstore. Your books. Oh yes, Mr. Natsumi's name is on it. Look, and the date of the purchase. 2 days ago at 4:45 p.m. That's the day of the incident. That's just a short while before he was embroiled in the terrible attack. He must have been on his way back from buying some old books. Second-hand book receipt has been entered into the court record. There he is, little blighter. Look, Mr. Naruhodo. Aha! There he is! Where did he appear from? He seems to be engrossed in the pages of an old book. I hope he won't mind if we disturb him. Hello, Mr. Sholmes? You two! Good day! Now, let me see. Where was it that we met? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, we were together in the SS Bureau. Yes, of course, the Bureau. And let me see, what happened on that voyage? It was Kazuma Asogi. He died, tragically, and you were a great help to us. Yes, but of course, the case of Mr. Asogi. It was the one with the snake, wasn't it? Well, you seem to remember something of it, at least. What an honor to be remembered vaguely by the great Herlock Sholmes. This is Mr. Oh, no, my dear madam, hold your tongue. I pride myself in my superior powers of recollection. Your names are safely recorded in my brain attic. Miss Naruhodo and Mr. Susato. Try the other way around, Mr. Sholmes. I lose the first round. In truth, I had hoped to invite you both to my Baker Street suite the other day we arrived in London. But some Scotland Yarders ambushed me at the railway station and whisked me away to the crime scene. It was an entirely trivial case, of course. I solved the matter in no more than 30 minutes. So they apprehended Soseki-san in that short of an amount of time. I'm afraid the pursuance of a new case has dulled my recollection of my past involvement a little. A little? It is a mistake to think that one's brain attic has elastic walls and can distend to any extent. I do my best to forget useless facts, lest they should elbow out the useful ones. Yes, those are my words of inedible wisdom, you know, from an adventure entitled A Study in Scarlet. Please, there's no need to quote yourself. I don't always remember my pearls of wisdom, but fortunately my associate pens them beautifully. He means Iris, I suppose. Mr. Sholmes, we have some extremely important questions to ask you about the trivial case you just mentioned. Goodness, what an earnest expression. My dear madam, I should be only too pleased, and this murky room is an apt place to discuss the murky case. Mr. Natsumi's arrest. We know that this is to be the lodging of a Japanese foreigner student by the name of Soseki Natsumi. It seems that you assisted in his arrest, Mr. Sholmes, for the stabbing of a young woman outside here on Briar Road. Natsumi. Yes, I believe it was a name rather along those lines. But Mr. Natsumi denies it. Was it really justifiable to arrest him on so little? I'm sorry, Mr. Sato. I have not the slightest idea what you mean. What? I can't believe he was looking for Susato-san squarely in the eye while feigning ignorance. I assure you, I'm not merely feigning ignorance. It would appear as if the pair of you are under some misapprehension. How? I assure you I have no recollection of accusing your stooped compatriot of the crime. But that doesn't make sense. The good detective of Scotland Yard made the following request to me, and I quote verbatim. We need you to ascertain the identity and whereabouts of a man seen fleeing the crime scene. Ah, a man seen fleeing. There were a number of books scattered on the pavement at the scene. From the book plates, I was quickly able to determine the bookshop from which they had been purchased. While speaking with the proprietor, I was immediately led to this address. Elementary, wouldn't you say? I believe there is a receipt around here somewhere from the establishment in question. So, you don't think Mr. Natsumi is the culprit, then? That I could not tell you. But it was aggravating my faculties, hence why I returned here. However, this place is such a trove of fascinating books, I found myself quite lost in bibliophilia. Do not be deceived into believing that I am a man of leisure. No, no, no! Oh dear. Mr. Garadeb, the landlord. Tell me, have you encountered the landlord of these lodgings? Yes, Mr. Garadeb, retired military man. It was the first time I've ever met a soldier from the Great British Institution that is the services. And it was the first time I've ever met a maid from the Great British Institution that is service. I didn't think it was that funny. I do apologize. As you may well be aware, many households in London employ a maid. Yes, I read as much in my Great Britain primer. And so conversely, whether or not a household employs a maid has come to betoken the social standing of those dwelling therein. Betoken their social standing, sorry. But simply, my dear fellow, those who employ at least a single maid are considered middle class. Those who do not are beneath that. In the upper echelons of societies, of course, households employ enough staff to constitute a large family. Goodness, how extraordinary. As you can appreciate, for those on the precarious boundary between the middle and lower classes, being able to afford just one maid is of the first importance. I had no idea. And it is for precisely that reason that I find great stimulation in the situation upstairs. Specifically in the retired Army veteran Mr. John Garadeb. Oh? Affable as he is, the fellow is hiding something. Whether or not it imposes on the circumstances of this case, I am as yet unable to ascertain. I am thoroughly lost in what he means to say. This room is thoroughly suffocating for the soul, my dear fellow. I assure you, any man whose lot is to dwell in a place such as this will stab somebody sooner or later. Mr. Natsumi has stabbed no one. But sooner or later, as I said. I don't believe that's the issue here. About this dark little room, Mr. Sholmes. Why is there no longer a window? Do you have any idea? No window? Well, I mean, I can clearly see that there is a window of sorts. But it's been completely blocked with bricks. Ah, I see. The answer to that question is quite simple. Window tax. Window tax? What is that? Surely not a tax on windows. Precisely that. Oh my goodness. Until relatively recently, a tax was levied on households in this country by the number of their windows. Those of lesser means, having inherited a sizable and costly family home perhaps, rapidly closed windows up. While the rich opened windows here, there, and everywhere. In an effort to curry favor with those in power by furnishing them with large sums of tax money. How awful and unjust, forcing people to live in rooms devoid of lights. Indeed, disease was rife as a result. So some 40 years ago or thereabouts, the window tax was abolished. But its legacy remains, as you can see, in squalid lodgings such as these, for example. I suppose Mr. Natsumi's stipend for living here in London isn't very generous, perhaps. It would appear so! I've done a little digging, and discovered that these lodgings were offered at an extraordinarily low price. Because the room is so awful, I should think. Apparently, Mr. Natsumi only moved in here about 1 week ago. I'm sorry. Wrong voices! Yes, that's correct. However, I don't believe the low rent is explained by the shabby nature of the accommodation. Oh? Still, that is of little relevance here. A matter not worthy of further attention. Are you sure? I'm curious now. Well, I believe I told you all I can now. Thank you, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, yes, Mr. Naruhodo. Was it not your intention to become a practitioner of law? You remembered that, did you? Will you perhaps be offering your services in this very matter, I wonder? To the occupant of this room, Mr. Natsumi, was it? I'm not sure. Not sure? On what grounds? Well, actually, I actually defended someone in court here only yesterday. Really? Well then, I congratulate you, sir, on the ambition realized, and so promptly, too. The thing is, it's really made me question things. Am I right to believe in my clients, to trust in their innocence? Yes, trust. Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Natsumi didn't do it, did he? My dear fellow, I haven't the first idea. But I thought that's why you were here. Didn't you come back to investigate? Yes, that was indeed my initial intention. But there are simply too many fascinating books here. You couldn't possibly ignore them. Oh, I see. Nevertheless, there are two facts that I can state quite unequivocally. The man who fled the scene of the crime 2 days ago was the Japanese occupant of this room, and there are witnesses who swear to having seen the same man commit the crime. That's all I can say. And one more thing. what is it, Mr. Sholmes? Tell us. I cannot say with any certainty whether or not it is of relevance of this case, but I'm quite sure that the retired army man who owns this property is hiding something. Mr. Garadeb is? Mr. Sholmes said as much before, actually, didn't he? Anyway, at present, that is really all that plays on my mind in relation to this case. Mr. Naruhodo, as yet, our investigations have uncovered nothing that could help establish Mr. Natsume's innocence. No, you're right. Perhaps it's time we probed a little deeper into Garadeb's secret. Just remember, I cannot be sure whether the landlord's secret will prove to be of relevance or not. But I do wish you every success, of course, Mr. Naruhodo. A busy man indeed. He's gone back to his book in the corner of the room. Well, time to go back to his room, I guess. You pagan. Tell me, was the detective chap, I forget his name, still hard at work down there? Sir Herlock Sholmes? Oh yes, rings a vague bell. Oh, that detective business isn't really my thing, I'm afraid. Mr. Sholmes is in his element down there. Jolly good show. With a cup of tea, if you please, Joanne. Now then, why don't you tell me for the umpteenth time, woman, will you watch what you're bolly well doing? I shan't be serving dinner. I shall be serving dinner shortly, sir. Oh, yes, of course. Frightfully rude of me, but I'm afraid I shall have to ask you to take a leave, if you'd be so kind.
Oh, yes, of course. We are deeply grateful for your assistance.
Not at all, not at all. Don't get much chance to talk with young foreigners like yourselves. It's been a pleasure. Best of luck and all that. Perhaps you could see yourselves out.
According to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Garadeb is hiding something. And since no other avenues of investigation seems open to us at the moment, perhaps we should do some digging. Oh, hi! Wait, no. Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing over there? What's he doing over there?
Mr. Sholmes!
Oh, we meet again, my dear fellows!
Gracious! When did you sneak in here?
Oh, Herlock Sholmes, sir, at your service.
Whatever were you doing over by the window?
I'm given to watching the evening sky as the sun sets, madam. But sadly, cheerful as the room downstairs undoubtedly is, it lacks an aperture of such observation. So I took the liberty of borrowing a small corner of space by the window up here.
Well,
keeping an eye into one's window at dusk is a prudent thing to do in London, I'm gathering. And one other thing, Mr. Naruhodo. Me? I thought perhaps you might be in need of a certain great detective's great mind. Wait, he's not talking about... is he? I didn't expect to be going through that again so soon.
Do you mean Mr. Sholmes?
There is a mighty secret in this modest room. My eyes see even the most trivial trifles. I take it you're prepared, Mr. Naruhodo. I think so. There's just time enough for one of my greatly admired great deductions. Let us conclude the matter before dark. Mr. Garadeb, though it would seem you're a military man of considerable distinguished service, your standing as a landlord is most certainly not what one might call first-rate. I'm afraid, sir, that it's all too clear to me. There are two conclusions I have been able to draw by careful observations of your living arrangement.
I beg your pardon?
The first is that even as we speak, you are concealing the presence of a ferocious beast in your care. And the second is that as a result of the beast's violent rampage, you have lost something very dear to you. Mr. Naruhodo, look! The man's broken out in a cold sweat. Unbelievably, it seems Mr. Sullivan's conclusions are both spot on.
How could you possibly?
How could I possibly know, you mean to inquire? The answer couldn't be simpler, sir. For in the dense jungle of logic and reasoning, I am the king of beasts. And I know only too well the wild beasts are not easily tamed. So, shall we begin? Once again, Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. The Great Deduction. The game is afoot. Topic 1. Nature of the beast. It certainly shouldn't take a great detective to see that a fearsome beast has been on a rampage of late within these four walls. Thus, we are faced with the question, what form might this beast take? For a man with a military breeding, your eyes are uncommonly candid. Good night, Runic. Your fervent glance, Mr. Gardab, leads us directly to the answer. The true nature of the beast that has run rampant here is revealed by that lion statue. Yes, though an army man, you appear unimposing at best. A fact that has fueled your admiration for the mighty lion, the king of beasts.
What is this piffle, I ask you?
In the end, your admiration became so great, in fact, that you had a living, breathing specimen shipped from India, which you tried to keep in this very house.
Whoa!
Yet living with such a wild beast proved more difficult than you had imagined. The chilling traces of wild rampage are still very much in evidence.
Whoa!
Yet as we look around, the beast in question fails to present itself. Where could this angry creature have disappeared to, madam?
Me?
I pray you do not consider me unchivalrous, but it is plain to me that with one glance in your direction,
It is.
your dress pocket gives us a handsome clue as to the beast's current whereabouts. For protruding from it is a handbill advertising a circus show.
Oh!
Yes, you sought to dispose of this terrifying lion, Mr. Gardab, at Batty's Circus, a traveling show currently soldiering in a nearby park. I have observed the tents. You sold the savage lion, sir, to the circus troupe.
I most certainly did not.
I believe I have made my points. The fearsome beast which ran amok in this room was an Indian lion. And a simple visit to the circus now will reveal the lion prancing jubilantly through a ring of fire. Conclusion, a rampaging Asiatic lion. Topic 2, the aftermath. Now, Mr. Gardab, it is plainly clear that you still have deep feelings for this formidable beast. Indeed, it's that blithe pose that distresses that this loss has caused you is veritably tangible. Your head weighs heavily on your shoulders, the pain you feel being revealed by that supporting arm. Amid fits of tears, you let your beloved beast go. The strain of losing something so dear to you is clearly visible in your visage.
Nonsense, man. I simply...
But what we must now ask ourselves is the true cause of this pain. And we need only follow the direction of your gaze to find the answer. Yes, it is the pile of bills that has given rise to the pain of your suffering. Every envelope contains another demand for payment. Oh! For cartloads of meat, potatoes, wheat, and tea. Indeed, feeding your beloved has had a devastating impact on financial circumstances of your household. And so you had no choice but to let it go. Yes, well... Oh. Now, in a final fit of rage, the ferocious beast carried out one last unimaginable attack.
Unimaginable?
The aftermath of which can be clearly seen by observing the carpet over there. A very expensive woolen carpet, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, dearie me.
What could have caused such a destructive outburst?
Oh!
This time, madame, I'm afraid it is you who has inadvertently revealed the truth to me. Your wandering eye has settled upon the answer very neatly indeed. Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we only need to look at the Tower of Cakes.
Oh!
There is no creature more dangerous on this earth than a beast with an unsatiated appetite. Was it or was it not once said by a certain noble woman, if they have no bread, let them eat cake? Food is at the heart of all tragedy, in fact.
Whatever do you mean?
Having tired of the taste of cake, the beast began to stalk its next prey. I'm sure I need not spell out the nature of this final act of destruction carried out by the beast. There's only one logical conclusion. Worked into a frenzy by hunger, the lion attacked and ate the carpet. The teeth marks in the carpet are a perfect match with those of a lion I once saw in India. Carpet gnawed on by the starving lion. Thus concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of this beastly puzzle.
What is the matter with you, Joanne? You're pouring scalding hot tea all over me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Garrett. I'm afraid I didn't notice.
My deductions can be startling sharp. It stands to reason that your cup runneth over. Indeed, my revelations can make people spill tears at times, too.
Oh?
Mr. Sholmes, sorry to butt in, but could I make an observation? Why, certainly, Mr. Naruhodo. What is it, again? Well, your deduction just now, you really think a lion could have fit inside a room of this size? Indeed, it is the only explanation for the facts. Terrifying truth of all too often lies behind the realms of a common sense. But wouldn't it be an idea to consider what lies inside the realms of common sense too? But if an uncaged lion had run amok in this very room, surely Mr. Garradab and his maid would have been hurt, or worse. That's where you are stuck. No doubt the former military man held his own against the beast using that large cannon. I thought you said that they sold the lion to the circus. And what about the food? Meat and potatoes are one thing. But I don't believe I've ever heard of a lion that drinks tea. Ah, my dear Mr. Sato, it occurs to me that with some regularity, that irrespective of race and breeding, whenever anyone lands on Great British soil, They are infused with a highly appropriate taste for afternoon tea. Sholmes can find your stolen goods, but you know damn well he can't find. Hi, Jura. How you doing, you sweetie? Oh, but what a glorious notion. You're sleepy? Well, do you want me to lay on you and give you snuggles? Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, it's your turn to shine again. I had a feeling that was coming. A slight message. That's all Mr. Sholmes' seduction needs. You can do it. Massage. Whatever. Excellent. I've been waiting for my trusty partner in deduction to step forward, Mr. Naruhodo. We don't even know whether or not this is going to help with Mr. Natsumi's case. Still, uncovering the truth is always worthwhile, whatever the motive. At least, that's what I want to believe. Let us start again. From the beginning of Herlock Sholmes' Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. Topic 1. Nature of the Beast. It certainly shouldn't take a great detective to see that a fearsome beast has been on the rampage of late within these four walls. Thus we are faced with the question, what form might this beast take? For a man with a military breeding, your eyes are uncommonly candid. Your fervent glance, Mr. Garadeb, leads us directly to the answer. The true nature of the beast that has run amok here is revealed by that lion statue. I really didn't see the lion thing coming. No, but if you observe Mr. Garadeb's reaction, it rather seems as though some beast did indeed run amok here in this room. Yes, something with a very fierce nature. But it couldn't have been a lion transported from India. So what was it then? We must follow Mr. Garadeb's gaze. That will lead us to the true answer. Oh, look at this! What's this photo? What's this photograph? It appears to be from Mr. Garadeb's wedding. He looks very happy, doesn't he? He does, but you can't make out his bride. Now, how unfortunate. Something must have struck the glass directly over the woman's face. I wonder what happened. Probably best not to delve too deeply here.
Take that!
The true nature of the beast that has run rampant here is revealed by that newlywed bride. Precisely, Mr. Naruhodo. No other explanation could possibly fit. Yes, this framed print pictures your wife, Mr. Garadeb. And while we lament the fact that her face is obscured, we can still make out her mighty arms and note the considerable horsepower they must contain. Indeed, surely any woman of such powerful constitution would be honored to be described as a beast. Honored might be stretching a point. Too late! The fact remains that the beast, which so clearly savaged this room, was your wife, Mr. Garadeb. The chilling traces of wild rampage are still very much in evidence. Well... Yet, as we look around, the beast in question fails to present itself. Where could this angry creature have disappeared to? Madam? But me? I pray, do you not consider me unchivalrous, but it is plain for me with one glance in your direction. Is it? Your dress pocket gives us a handsome clue as to the beast's current whereabouts. The poor, fragile, defenseless woman is beside herself. Well, I don't know about fragile. Girl through hands with the furniture. Swing into oblivion, stop it. Anyway, Mr. Sholmes is quite right. There's no sign of a Mr. Garridab anywhere. There's no sign of a Miss Garridab anywhere. But it seems there may be a clue as to her whereabouts. A clue that this maid is trying to hide. I wonder where Mr. Garridab's wife could be. I wonder where the wife could be, hmm? She's wearing a very large ring, look! Oh yes, a sunflower design with some rather nice embellishment. It's on the ring finger of her left hand, which means it's surely a wedding ring. It looks like it's on there for life, too. I can't imagine it would slide off a finger of that size. That's something to think, Mr. Naruhado, not to say. Do you know, Mr. Garridab's wife in the photograph had a ring very much like this one. It was a large sunflower design as well. Really? You have a great memory of these things. A large sunflower wedding ring. It's quite a coincidence that they have the same ring, isn't it? Yes, a ring!
Take that!
Your wedding ring gives us a handsome clue as to the beast's current whereabouts. Oh! Indeed it does! That flowery band gleaming on your finger gives you away. For it is identical to the one shown on the hand of Mr. Garridab's bride in this photographic print. In other words, you are no ordinary household maid. No. You are Mr. Garridab's lucky bride. You are Miss Garridab herself. Oh, my word!
Well, jolly fine detecting, sir. As you rightly surmise, this is my wife, yes, my Joanne. Rather let herself go, you might say, but she was a bally cork of...
It would appear that you don't live in the most comfortable of circumstances. You, after all, you are a retired army man, yet you are in the business of renting out rooms. I would assume, therefore, you have insufficient means to employ a maid. Would that be correct?
It's not right, I tell you. I was second lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment. A man has his pride, don't you know? By golly, it's a sorry thing when a chap can't even afford to have a single maid in his employ.
Yes, here in London, one is rather judged. A household cannot be considered worthy of society if it employs no staff at all. Though in my considered opinion, such concerns about appearances are folly. You mean Mr. Garridab has his wife work as his maid? Precisely. Am I right, Mr. Garridab?
Only in company, obviously. But listen here. This must remain a secret. Tip-top secret, please.
The raging wife of Mr. Garridab. Solved. Topic 2, the aftermath. Now, Mr. Garridab, it is plainly clear that you still have deep feelings for this formidable beast. Indeed, in that blithe pose, the distress this loss has caused you is veritably tangible. Your head weighs heavily on your shoulders, the pain you feel being revealed by that supporting arm. Mr. Sholmes is quite something. He's still calling Mr. Garridab's wife a beast. Yes, as a woman, that feels rather uncomfortable. But Mr. Garadeb is standing beside her husband as we speak. In other words, he hasn't lost his beloved at all, has he? Oh, how true. So perhaps that supporting arm that seems to be propping up his head has some other significance then. According to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Garadeb's pain is tangible, though. What could that pose have really signified? Oh, come now, you... A slapped cheek. I want to hear what they have to say. Oh my, look at the bright red mark! Gosh, that's quite something. And clearly made by someone's hand. Yes, Mr. Garadeb has been slapped on the face, it seems. Hard. I've never seen such a clearly defined mark. Whoever could have done such a thing? Well, there's a very limited number of candidates, I'd say.
Take that!
Your head weighs heavily on your shoulders, the pain you feel being revealed by that slapped cheek. Yes, of course, the deliverer of that impressive mark on your cheek that refuses to fade. Was you, Madame Joanne Garadeb? Well, yes. You have been desperate to hide the slap mark on your cheek, sir. How the blazes? How did you work that out, man? Nothing escapes the notice of one trained in the art of observation, my dear fellow. That's why you haven't looked directly at us even once. To keep your other side from view. Now, let us proceed to the next conundrum. While you were subjected to such a violent slap... In other words, we must ask ourselves what caused Madame Garadeb to fly into such a rage. And we need only follow the direction of your gaze to find the answer. Yes, it is the pile of bills that has given rise to the pain you suffer. Did Mr. Sholmes say that the bills were all for lion fodder? Yes, but now we've established the lion never existed. Which can only mean that the thing responsible for gobbling up all that food was Mr. Garadeb's what? Mr. Naruhado! She's a person, not a thing! Yes, well... She's also the person who gave her husband a mighty slap around the face. One so hard that it left a perfect hand mark, in fact. Yes, why would a woman want to hit her husband with such force, I wonder? I'd love to know the answer to that question. Wait. Someone must be reading this book at the moment. Must be reading a book at the moment. There's a bookmark here, look! Mr. Garadeb is clearly an avid reader. Oh, wait a minute. I don't think this is a bookmark. Oh no, so it isn't. It's a note written in a woman's hand. Oh, James, I love you. Yours, Mary. And look next to the signature here. Lip marks made with lipstick. Oh, what a passionate and romantic gesture. Don't get any ideas, Susato-san. Oh dear, I'm sorry. So this bookmark is actually a love note then. I remember this now.
Take that!
Yes, it is this love note that has given rise to the pain you suffer. Oh, James, I love you. Yours, Mary. Passionate indeed. Perhaps the sender of this note, a certain Miss Mary, is the fly in the ointment here? But I don't know the bully woman! You don't know her? That note wasn't written to me. I
It was just in the book. I don't know how it got there. It was just in there, you say? That's it. That's what I've been saying. A likely story. Now listen here, Joanne, old thing. I explained at the time. I bought the book at the second-hand place, and that note must have already been in there.
So the previous owner of the book was using the note as a bookmark, you mean?
That's right. That's what I've been saying. A likely story. For heaven's sake, woman, look at the name. It's written to James. My name, in case you've forgotten, is John. A likely story. Are you questioning my name now?
And there we have it. Rouse the suspicion of the Feimaha, and you unleash a beast with the most voracious bite. Now, in a final fit of rage, the ferocious beast carried out one less unimaginable attack.
Unimaginable?
The aftermath of which can be clearly seen by observing the carpet over there. A very expensive woolen carpet, if I am not mistaken.
Oh, dearie me.
What could have caused such a destructive outburst? This time, madame, I'm afraid it is you who has inadvertently revealed the truth to me. Your wandering eye has settled upon the answer very neatly indeed. Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we only need to look at the Tower of Cakes. But surely Miss Scarehab didn't eat the carpet? No, of course not. But there doesn't seem to be any doubt that the state of disarray that this room is in is a result of her wild temper. No, that's true. So this is the last part of Mr. Sholmes' deduction that we need to fix. We only need to follow Miss Scaredab's gaze, and we will tell us the real answer. All right, let's see what we can see. Yes. This looks like a very old candlestick, doesn't it? The base looks too small. Surely it's very unstable. It looks to me that even the slightest knock would make it topple over. Oh dear, that would be dangerous. Wait, take a closer look at this. There's one candle missing. Yes, I didn't notice that before. Why is that, I wonder? Why is there only one candle through missing from its holder? Gee, I wonder! Have you ever considered that maybe the carpet? Anyways.
Take that!
Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we only need to look at the candlestick. Most illuminating, my dear fellow, and of course the only possible way out of this logical labyrinth. Yes, the remnants of a ferocious attack in which the carpet was devoured are clearly visible. Indeed they are. The scorch marks at the edge clearly give the truth away.
Scorch marks?
It would appear that this room was the scene of a little marital altercation. Miss Scaredab's mighty arm muscle left an impression not only on her husband's face, but on the entire room. The force of her strike caused the candle to fall from the holder. And in the seconds the carpet was alight, and the whole corner of the room in flames.
Yes,
For the most ferocious beast in this world is neither a violent lion nor a vengeful woman, but fire. And in this room, that ferocious beast bared its claws and ran amok. Eloquently put, my dear fellow. So you see, there is but one conclusion here. After the sparks of marital discourse flew, this room was the scene of a fire.
Mr. Sholmes, sir, I salute you.
Carpet scorched by a small fire. Deduction complete. Elementary.
It's these dashed long winter nights, you know. Nothing to do but read in front of the fire. Luckily, there's a jolly good second-hand bookshop just around the corner. Buy all my old novels there.
And in the pages of one particular novel, you discovered some rather illicit material. For which your wife admonished you harshly, it seems.
Don't know about admonished. Demoralized might be rather closer to the mark. And beast is most certainly an apt...
Here we go again. And the carpet? Was that destroyed by a fire when a candle flew on the floor?
Right to say it was. Happened in the blink of an eye, you know. A place filled with smoke. Couldn't see a ballsy thing. I was caught between the old stick's rage and the raging flame.
You painted torrid picture, sir. One that would have been most entertaining. That's sympathy for you.
Didn't take too long for the fire to spread, of course. The bally furniture started to go up as well. You'd had to hide the mess behind the screen for the time being.
Over here, Mr. Garrett. Well, you have nothing more to hide now, if you'll allow me.
All my favorite old novels in that case. But as soon as the fire got a hold of them, that was it. Whoosh, up in smoke.
Gosh.
My wife started hurling things at me.
What a terrible sight it must have been.
There I was, backed up against the corner under a heavy enemy fire, incendiary books incoming 10 to the dozen. Worst of it is, I lost my favorite book called The Lion's Pride.
The Lion's Pride? Oh yes, your notorious love of big cats coming through again.
I assure you, the title didn't influence my choice in the slightest.
So the poor man really did lose something dear to him as a result of the ferocious beast's rampage. Mr. Sholmes' deductions turned out to be correct once again. It can only be described as great British wonder.
I tell you, it was total carnage, flames everywhere, and the old stick in the full fettle. Out of interest, what time of day was it?
Oh, out of interest, what time of day was it?
Not sure I can remember. It was 2 days ago now. Let's see, around 5 o'clock, I think.
So exactly the same time. As the terrifying incident was unfolding outside your window on the street below.
Even more terrifying on the inside, I can assure you. The whole of Blighty could have been flattened outside my window at that moment. And I wouldn't have noticed a dashed thing.
Oh, really? Mr. Sholmes? Yes, Mr. Naruhodo, what can I do for you? Well, I think we got to the bottom of Mr. Garadab's situation now. But what does it have to do with Mr. Natsumi's circumstance? I can't help you there, I'm afraid. What? My dear fellow, if you recall, I did say as much from the outset. I warned you that although I knew the retired army man to be hiding something, I could not be sure whether his secret would prove to be of any relevance or not. I just knew we were going to say that. Now, Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't lose heart. Bear in mind that all things fall into one of only two categories, those relevant to the case and those not. That makes no sense to me. Well, no matter. It is of far greater importance that you make up your mind now. Sorry? Visiting hours of the prison will soon be over. Oh no, is it that time already? If we're to accept Mr. Natsumi's case, we have official paperwork to attend to. So that's it. No more time to think.
Perhaps you'd like to betake yourselves to bidding us farewell now. I must prepare supper for Mr. Garrett.
Oh yes, I'm so sorry. Thank you both very much for your time. Soseki-san will be waiting for us, and I'm going to have to give him an answer. Hydrate yet again! 19th February, Briar Road. It's time, Mr. Naruhodo. We must hurry back to the prison. Yes, I know. Let's hail a Oh. What's the matter? It looks like something's going on over there in front of the Garadeb's house. Or maybe Baku didn't realize that I saw him wanting some ASMR. I hope you've been doing well, you sweet fat foxo you. And I hope that you continue to do well. I wish I could give you so many smooches right now as I continue to solve this mystery.
I know thee not, old man. Fall to thy prayers.
What are you calling old man, you run-looking ninny-pibby?
There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dripped in your philosophy.
Who's this Horatio Ferry? What are you doing? What are you all about?
Excuse me.
Who are you now?
I'm sorry, it just looked like a... There might be some problems here. And my associate here, Mr. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, is a lawyer, you see.
A lawyer? What?
If I can be of any assistance, I'd be happy to help. I'm from Japan, but I've studied English law.
Fine. I'll be on my way for today, but you mark my words. This ain't over yet.
Get thee to a nunnery.
Do I look like a bloomin' nun to you?
Oh.
I do hope you're not injured.
Oh, fair Eastern maiden, thou art so gentle, thank you.
What was that all about?
There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, that are dripped of in your philosophy.
I'm not Horatio either. Forgive the inquiry, sir, but are you a lodger here in the Garadeb residence?
Oh, fair Eastern maiden, thou art so right. As I do dwell in this humble abode.
So Garadeb mentioned that he had another lodger, didn't he? This must be the man. Do you happen to know the other lodger who lives on the first floor?
I guess a gentleman named Natsumi. Oh, more worthy of polemist in my battle of words, there could there be?
Sorry, battle, did you say?
Who is the stronger, Hamlet or Macbeth? Mr. Natsumi and I sparred long into the night.
I see. I don't fully understand, but it seems Mr. Natsumi and this gentleman are acquaintances, at least.
So fair maiden, so good gentlemen. I can't tarry her no longer. Fare thee well.
I didn't really understand him, but I think he's returned to his room. Seems he's unaware of what happened to Mr. Natsumi, so he can't really help us. With Soseki-san and that man as lodgers, the Garadev house is certainly full of eccentricities. Flashback to high school English class. Anyway, I'll go and find a carriage. Yes, I'm sure Mr. Natsumi is eagerly awaiting our return. Let's hope we can get to the prison before visiting hours are over. 19th February, 6:31 p.m. Local prison cell number 9.
Oh, it's you! You're here, you came! Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. I can't believe you came back! I'm so touched!
We are so sorry to have kept you waiting, Mr. Natsumi.
Do think nothing of it, perhaps. If I were a cat, I would purr with pleasure at the company of such fine compatriots. Noble, nurturing, never failing Nipponese.
Oh no, let's not get carried away. Oh, I quite agree. There's nothing more reassuring than the familiarity of one's native land. On the other hand,
it is through friendship transcending international borders that one truly appreciates the facts. Such is my belief, at least. It's you! The miserable, rotten spy! Herlock Sholmes!
Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing here?
I have no intention of doing anything per se, save observing, of course.
What do you mean, Mr. Sholmes?
Well, having encountered some curious reading material in that gloomful room, and having unmasked the secret identity of that eccentric pair, I decided I should drop in on my way home to see how our divested friend is faring. Gloomful room. At least your accommodation here offers a window, my dear fellow. In that sense, it is a superior option. Anyway, I must commend you on your taste in books. My day has been a delight, cost me not a penny. You! How dare you, Herlock Sholmes! I have had it. I'm through. I'm at the end of my rope. I should never have come to Great Britain. It was a terrible mistake. Haunted by spirits in those accursed lodgings, no doubt my luck will be cursed in tomorrow's trial as well. My whole life is bedamned.
What are you thinking, Mr. Naruhodo? He mentioned that once before, didn't he? That his lodgings were cursed. I mean...
And there's much truth in Mr. Mustache's words. What? Cursed is a wholly appropriate description, I would say. For the man's lodgings are, and indeed for tomorrow's trial.
What's that supposed to mean? Mr. Natsumi, what did you mean by what you said just now? What about the trial tomorrow being cursed?
Oh, why are you looking so grave? You're making me nervous. I was just getting carried away, that's all. I didn't mean anything by it.
I see. That's really agitated him.
You should be. The trial really is cursed somehow.
Are you referring to the prosecutor, the Reaper of the Bailey?
The Reaper? Oh no! What do you mean? Please tell me. Summarize it succulently in 16 salient words.
I think it's silently. No defendant has ever survived a trial in which the Reaper stands for the prosecution ever.
Oh my goodness! Can it really be true? That was 16 words, exactly!
Yesterday, Mr. Naruhodo successfully defended somebody against the Reaper. But then, after the trial was over, the defendant passed away in unusual circumstances. Mr. McGilded.
What?
I am impressed, Miss Susato. You have an eye for detail. Actually, the Lord Chief Justice told us. Mr. Sholmes. Surely it can't be that having failed to have the accused convicted, Lord Van Zieks killed the man himself. Hi, Thorin. Oh no, he couldn't have, surely. You have some wonderful notions. Sorry? The man isn't a mass murderer. He's a court prosecutor, my dear fellow. Oh, yes. Why, of course he is.
Of course he is! Then why are you trying to scare me?
It could be said, however, that the real truth about the man is even more terrifying than your hypothesis. What on earth do you mean by that?
The Reaper.
Van Zieks is a quite exceptional man. However, in London court of law, exceptional does not equate to winning every case without exception.
Oh, that's good!
So Seki-san looks like he's going to cry tears of joy. As you're no doubt aware, in a British criminal trial, there is both a judge and a jury. The judge officiates based on the letter of the law, whilst the jury offers a public opinion and common sense. It is an excellent system whereby the defendant's guilt is considered from several points of view. However, public opinion in particular is somewhat easily manipulated. Right. Criminals and corrupt lawyers, for that matter, can use it to their advantage. By any means at their disposal, contriving evidence, calling imposters as witnesses, and so on. By such underhanded means, those who would want to are able to sway the jury, which means that even in the light of irrefutable evidence, the prosecution can fail. But it means the wrong verdict can be passed. And sadly, is from time to time, my dear madam. It is simply the reality of the situation. And that's alright. However, those indicted by Lord Van Zieks cannot escape justice. Their fate is sealed. Oh my. Though the education may see them leave the courtroom with their freedom, within months they all disappear. It is most striking.
Disappeared? No!
Ah, by all manners of misfortune, sir. Perhaps they are trampled under a passing carriage, perhaps they fall into the flames and drown, perhaps they are suddenly overcome by a raging fever, or perhaps attacked by highwaymen.
Oh, no!
All examples of reality of events here in London, I'm afraid, Mr. Naruhodo.
I knew it. I'm a dead dodo done for doomed.
When you said accursed lodgings before, you were referring to your room at Mr. Garadeb's house, I assume. Do you mean to say you believe the place is cursed?
It's been a year now since I came to Great Britain. And I'd only been in London a week before I started to notice strange feelings in myself.
That didn't take long then.
Everywhere I looked, there was a foreign faces staring at me and laughing behind my back. I was so sure people were talking about me, I started to become nervous about going outside. They were always staring at me. all the time, from dawn to dusk. So I shut myself away in my room, but even that didn't help. The fear wouldn't go away. You must have been very lonely, having been away from your homeland for such a long time. I've had to move a number of times, most recently to that room on Briar Road a week ago now. Yes, why did you choose there? It seems a little inconvenient. The rent is cheap. I have so little money, it appealed to me straight away. Of course, I asked why it was so affordable. Landlord just simpered and said, "The room is cursed." Oops. He quickly tried to cover his mistake, but it was too late, so I told him. If you have something to say, then say it, but if not, don't mention it in the first place. Yes, well said. It was true. It was all true. You mean the room really is cursed then? Ever since I moved into the windowless hellhole, my sleep has been plagued with nightmares. I awake feeling as though I've been choked to death. And in my waking hours, people are stabbed in front of me as I walk down the street. I'm branded a killer, thrown in prison. Nobody wants to know me. I'm surrounded by scary, sinister spirits. If only there was someone, just one person on my side. Can no one find it in his or her heart to believe in me? Really, no one at all? To believe. Yes, to believe. To believe. Mr. Sholmes. Ah, me, Mr. Naruhodo. Pray, what can I do for you? It's about the case on the SS Bureau, if you recall. The Bureau? The Bureau. Oh, that case. The one with the snake. Well, yes. At that time, I was the suspect, but you believed in me and listened to my side of the story. And you helped us investigate. I did I? Interesting. What I want to know is, why? Why did you believe me? I see, yes, you mean... Because you were a grimly dressed, shady Eastern fellow found with the victim in a locked room? Well, if you like, yes. I'm a little surprised that the answer requires explanation, my dear fellow. It's quite simple, really. You said I didn't do it. But I could have been lying. Sure, you must have had your doubts. You must have suspected me a little. I think perhaps you might... I think perhaps you have misunderstood. I neither recall believing in you, nor in that which you were telling me. What? You see, the only things I believe in are those I choose to believe in. What do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? I make up my own mind about what is to be believed and what is not. If I should like to believe in something, I do. The circumstances can hang as far as I'm concerned. But I could have betrayed your trust. In that case, I should have made an elementary error of judgment, nothing more. Betrayal of trust is an overused excuse, in my opinion. Meaning... whether or not one should trust another is, in the final analysis, down to oneself. It is a matter of whether or not one can trust oneself. Yes, he's right! He's right, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire! Whether or not I can believe myself. A defense lawyer is only as good as his faith in his client. And that comes down to how much faith he has in himself. You're so right, Kazuma. Well, my dear fellows, it is time we were leaving, I believe. Already?
Visiting hours are over. The guard will be here shortly to escort us out. There is a restaurant near here that serves excellent trout. Would you care to join me? Oh dear, there's never enough time, is there? Mr. Natsumi, if you'd like, in the trial tomorrow, I'd be happy to represent you. Welcome, student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. As I said, I only experienced a British courtroom for the first time yesterday. And although the man I was representing was found not guilty, I lost sight of something critical. Something crucial. What to believe in? The defendant, justice, or the truth? How to believe, even. But I think I finally worked it out. I've decided I must believe in myself above all else, to trust my instincts. Yes, Mr. Naruhodo. My instincts are telling me that you, Mr. Natsumi, are innocent of this crime. And it's imperative that we prove that in court. Welcome, student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. I will fight for your innocence to the bitter end with every weapon available to me. So I hope you'll permit me to represent you tomorrow. As I said when we first met, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who would listen to me in my native tongue. Of course, Mr. Natsumi. It would be fair to say, Mr. Naruhodo, that your mind was in many ways made up from the outset. You merely needed the events of today to fully realize it. Yes, I think you're right about that. It's been a roundabout journey, but I got there in the end. Miss Susato. Yes? Would you be willing to stand by my side tomorrow and help me in court? Absolutely. As I said this morning, you may consider me your personal judicial assistant. The shocking events of yesterday's trial still weigh heavily on my mind. But it's time to stop looking backwards. Kazuma believed in me, and Mr. Shon believes in me now too. So it's time. Time that I learned to believe in myself. Soseki-san has no one. He's all alone, so it's my job to help him, to fight his corner. Tomorrow, in the courtroom, with all the strength I can muster. To be continued! So much adventuring we're doing tonight, aren't we? Hold on. A couple of things I want to check on really fast before I do anything else. Ooh, that could be fun. I haven't seen that in a hot minute. I think that this is about as fair of a stopping point as we can possibly get to. So we are gonna go say hi to a friend. Uh-oh.
A few moments later.
No. No!
Stop it.
Exit game?
Well, I don't need a save. I already have. Yes. Alright then. Let me get some music on. One gets killed, another one is on trial for murder. Yeah! It's gonna be all fun tonight. It is. Ah. So we had a good, fun, investigative period. Alright. So we're gonna go ahead and raid into Zesty Boy today, who's playing Tropical 4. I do have a Discord, bluesky, YouTube, and Twitter. You're all welcome to follow or join in any of those things. It's always nice to have more people that like to see me do these things. This is a lot of fun for me. I am definitely having far too much fun playing this game, and I will be playing more of it tomorrow, hopefully finishing up this chapter. I have a feeling that the court part of this chapter is going to be relatively lengthy, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and a lot of voice acting will be required. This has been a very cozy night, a very cozy Thursday, I should say. Thank you all so much for just being here, and thank you all so much for just hanging out with me tonight. I very much appreciate it. Until then, everybody, I hope to see you guys tomorrow as we hopefully wrap up this chapter. And just remember, eat lots, drink lots, sleep plenty, and take care of yourselves. See you till tomorrow, everybody!